Hello and welcome to our next video. In this lesson, we're going to create our first repository for source control. So, here's the deal. We have our code that we created up to this point, and what we want to do is create a repository on this. Now, just in case we make a mistake, this will be the last time we should have to do this, but I'm going to make a copy. I'm just going to right-click and drag it here and select copy here, just so I have a backup in case I screw something up. I'll probably be able to delete this with no problem. Now what I want to do is go to my default directory where I've been working, and I want to right click and select Get GUI here. Now this should bring up the menu to create a new repository, clone an existing repository, or open an existing repository. Now we don't have one right now, and we're going to go ahead and create one. Again, if you don't have this Get GUI installed, make sure you go back to the last video and just get Git for Windows installed on your machine. So let's go ahead and create a new repository, and the funny thing is we still have to browse to it, but it should open us up right where we left off, and it does. So we have our MS Dev folder here. We're going to select the top level. You could go at this level if you'd like to and probably get away with it, but we're going to go ahead and just go at the top level for Contact Web. We're going to select that folder, and we're going to go ahead and create a new repository there. And what we can see is that it opens up Get GUI with a bunch of stuff on the left-hand side, and I'm just going to maximize this so we can see it a little easier. And it has all of our different directory folders, and you can click on each one of these files and see exactly what's in each file that will ultimately be committing to our initial repository. And so we can see we have some different things going on here. An entire packages directory, which is all stuff that was brought down without our knowledge, really, for the most part, as we created the project and went out, and Microsoft's NuGet packages are all downloaded for us. So all that's there. We're going to go ahead and check all that in. In some instances, you may not want to check everything in, especially if you're sharing code amongst a bunch of developers. You would definitely want to leave off any bin directory, anything that's compiled and run like that. The packages, you could argue you could leave them off and make each client download them each time as well. But I'm going to go ahead and just check everything in, including the stuff that's in the bin directory, and that will allow it to push and all that jazz. But basically, again, you might opt out of checking in the bin if you were working with more than one developer. You don't want to have to recheck those in and out every time you work on it. Now, an advantage of working with Git is that you would be able to just continually overwrite them, and it shouldn't be a problem, versus a traditional Microsoft source control where you might have a conflict. So with Git, I have a little more freedom as well. So what I'm going to do is select the top level file, and I'm going to scroll all the way to the bottom, and I'm going to hold down Shift and click it once, and that will select all files. So what I can do is go up to the menu and select Commit and Stage to Commit, or I can just hit Control T to do it all. So again, I'm just going to select everything starting at the top. I'm going to hold down Shift, select everything. I'm going to hit Control T. That's going to stage everything down here to the bottom. You see it's doing that right now, and it's going to take a while because there's a lot of files in this first commit. And it tells us that we have some CRLF endings. We knew that was going to happen. Just hit Unlock Index. And here I'm just going to type in a message, initial commit. And then I'm going to push the commit button. Oh, I don't have an identity. It doesn't know who I am. So, because this is the first time I'm running, I need to set things up. So what I'm going to do is actually going to go out to my command line. So I'll go to Start, and I'll just type in CMD. And I'm going to do exactly what it says here. I'm going to say git config -- global user.email. And for this, I'm going to actually use my Gmail account. And that's also what's wired up with my Bitbucket, so that's why I want to do this. And I'm going to go ahead and hit enter. And then I'm going to say git config -- global user.name Brian Gorman. So of course you would type your own name there and your own email. And that should take care of the error that I saw. So let's go ahead and close this command window down, select OK, and let's try again to push commit. And you can see that it ran. Created commit, with some hash here, initial commit. So it is there, it is checked in. And so now we have our first source control wired up. Our contact web now has a folder .git, and in there is essentially all the stuff Git needs to manage our source going forward. So that wraps up creating our first repository. Thank you very much, and we'll see you next time.